Hi, I'm live this morning. Before we get started, I just want to let you know how to check in and leave comments with us if you're joining us live. So all you need to do if you're on Facebook is go to streamyard.com.facebook and give permissions to leave comments. We will check in at the end and answer any questions that you have. And if you don't know me, my name is Morgan Sheets. I'm the founder of Live Well, Be Well, Do Good, a master wellness coach and a media consultant for female entrepreneurs with health, wellness, and fitness businesses. And I am thrilled to be here today with Lisa Fraley. She's an attorney and the author of a #1 best-selling book, which is amazing, by the way. She was just telling me about it a few minutes ago, called Easy Legal Steps. And I left something out there. Oh, you're a speaker. You do everything. So thank you for joining me this morning, Lisa.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Morgan. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit how you got into the work that you're doing.
Yeah, all of our stories are so fascinating, aren't they, as to how we got into this health and wellness space, or how you brought your media together with your wellness. Well, I brought my law together with wellness, actually. I, years ago, was a healthcare attorney in a large corporate law firm, and it was great training and really boring, and it sucked the life out of me. And what I didn't realize was that I was living on caffeine and sugar and not getting sleep and all the things. And it led me to health coaching school eventually, where I became a health coach through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and a life coach through Coach U, and then also did get my fitness certification from ACE, although I didn't do as much with the fitness part. Yeah, thank you. But what I found was when I was hanging out my own shingle as a health coach and working with clients, a lot of my clients were actually from my health coaching program, were other health coaches. And I realized that they actually needed legal help and kept saying, Lisa, most lawyers don't understand health coaching or wellness coaching or fitness. They don't really get the online space. They don't get Entreport. They don't really understand. And you actually get the legal side and the coaching side. So I brought it together, and I now work with lots and lots and lots of coaches and entrepreneurs and fitness professionals to really just make the law easy to understand, but to bring the care of a coach into it, to kind of bring some love and light and support into the legal process.
And I love that you have the framework of being that health coach and fitness professional. You've done the work and you've got the legal background. So like you said, the paths that we go on, like, it's just amazing how perfectly designed you are to bring them together.
I never would have guessed that's how they would end up coming full circle. Never in a million years, Morgan.
I know, and having also served a lot of coaches, I mean, I know we are so grateful that you went into this space. It's like you said, that the challenge is huge for wellness professionals in knowing what to do with their businesses from step one, like, I'm going to hang out my shingle and start a business, to, okay, I've started this business. Now I want to scale it and reach a lot of people. Oh my God, like, the things that covered me don't cover me anymore. So having you here to share your wisdom is just such a blessing. I'm so excited to help you hopefully reach a lot more people so that we can get these health and wellness professionals better connected and protected.
All of it is good. All of it is good. Yeah.
So would you share with us some of these common mistakes that you see wellness entrepreneurs making, both, if we could dive into both when they're starting out, start there, and then also as they're scaling?
Sure. Okay, so when you're starting out, a lot of people think, oh, I'm too small. I don't need legal documents. I'm just starting out. I only have like 4 clients. I mean, I'm not really going to get in trouble. They're not going to report me. Like, why would I need to have a client agreement? Why do I even need to use anything written? And I get that thinking, right? I mean, I totally understand, because you are just starting out. And I have a lighted ampersand marquee on my wall here because I'm all about the and. So the and is that actually, if you are a health or wellness professional and you are starting out, it doesn't matter if you have 1 client or 10 clients or 100 clients or 1,000 clients, you still want to have all of your client policies in writing, because you need people to know that you're not a doctor, you're not giving medical advice or psychological advice. You need them to know what's in your program. You need them to know how much it costs and what the refund policy is. You want them to know the limitations you have on liability. So starting out early with something like a client agreement, even with your first client, that you sign the document and they sign the document, really helps to put those policies in writing so that if something does happen, even with client number 4, and they want their money back, you have something in writing that basically says either you don't give refunds or you give refunds till a certain time or whatever your policy is. So I think the biggest mistake starting off is just thinking that you don't need legal steps. You don't need every legal step, but you do want to definitely start with a client agreement if you're working one-on-one right out of the gate.
Okay, can we kind of sum up what aspects need to be included in that client agreement again?
Absolutely. Okay. So every lawyer does client agreements differently. I have a do-it-yourself legal template, and this is what I use in that for people just to be able to download and fill in. So there are important sections like the program description, expectations, which is not a section most lawyers put in, but as a coach, I know how important it is to get super clear with your clients about here's how I'm going to show up for you in terms of being on time and giving you my full attention and really supporting you. And here's how I need you to show up for me, showing up on time, not missing your calls, giving me your full attention. So expectations is an important section. There's also things like communication and scheduling. How do they schedule their times or calls with you, their appointments or calls? What happens if they have to reschedule? Do they miss a call? Do they forfeit it? Or do they get to reschedule it again? Or do they have to reschedule it before the next call? Like getting really clear about your scheduling policies is really important. Payment, of course. What is involved? What is the investment? Can they pay you? Do they have to pay a deposit or can they pay in installments or do they have to pay in full? Talking about, you need to tell them you can charge their credit card, maybe that they can't do chargebacks, that you need to have a strong refund policy. There's a whole section in there on payment and all the things that go along with payment. And then we get to some of the disclaimers, things like a medical disclaimer, which is very thorough and long in the way that I do it. Because if you're a health and wellness practitioner, we always like to say that we supplement what the licensed medical practitioners do. Like coaches and wellness practitioners are not doctors, and we don't want to be doctors, and we don't want clients to think that we're doctors. So you need to have or therapists or religious clergy members or lawyers or accountants or all the things. So there's a lot of disclaimer language that goes in. And then there's a lot of other limitation of liability. What happens if we have a conflict? Whose law is going to apply? Like if you're in one state and your client's in another state, you have to decide whose law is going to govern that relationship, we say. So there's governing law sections. It's the document. It should not just be 1 or 2 pages. A lot of people are like, Lisa, can I just use this little document that's like 2 pages long? And I'm like, I wouldn't recommend that because you probably don't have all the language that you need in it. So a good client agreement is actually about 5 pages long or so. And it doesn't have to be scary or overwhelming. The way that I write it certainly is in plain English that's easy to understand. And I use color in the headings. Like who does that? What lawyer does that? To make it more comfortable for you to use with your clients, but it's equally legally effective. So things like that, Morgan, I think need to be in a client agreement. There's other sections I haven't mentioned, but in general, those are some of the big ones. Things like termination you want to include. There's others, but those are some of the big ones.
That's a great start. And it kept like the whole time you were sharing with me, like, I don't know if this is how you look at it, but it just came to mind that it's really about boundaries, like that's helping our clients understand the processes and boundaries so they can have a comfortable pathway to work with us.
Yes. And Morgan, remember I was talking to you about the book, Easy Legal Steps?
Yeah.
So chapter 2 of this book is all about client agreement. And what I do is align each legal step with the chakra and with a principle. And you nailed it. The principle for the client agreement, chapter 2, orange, is actually boundaries. So I talk all about boundaries because you're absolutely right. What the legal client policies do is create those guardrails and boundaries for your client, but you can do it in a loving way. Sometimes I think because heart-centered wellness entrepreneurs and coaches don't want to be harsh. They don't want to be cold. You have this beautiful discovery call with your client. You're like, here's my legal agreement. And no one wants to do that.
They feel like, oh, please maybe sign this.
Yes, and we don't want it to be that way. We want the client agreement just to be a way for you to spell out your policies in writing clearly with love from the outset, so there isn't confusion later, which actually allows you to relax and your client to relax because they know all of your policies in advance. But then the other thing it does is it creates the energetic boundaries too, which is where you are creating, you're plugging money leaks and energy leaks, I believe, and helping to create a container to hold and receive your clients. And I align it with the second chakra because your sacral chakra is aligned with things like boundaries and relationships and abundance and creation, creating content. So the second chakra is a beautiful place to align that legal document of the client agreement.
I love how you touched on it. It's really helping you form that container.
Exactly. Yes, that's right.
I know, like, health and wellness professionals many of them are still struggling with a lot of money blocks from what I've discovered. Like in our industry, it's just like, help people, but please don't get paid for it sometimes
I know.
Has been something that we're working hard to transform. And I love how you bring up that this is just part of that container and it helps people to plug those blocks.
Yes.
Can you kind of share any kind of transformations you've seen with your clients and taking this step?
Oh, absolutely. So one client comes to mind. There's two different types of clients. One is the client who, my client, Sarah, who was actually afraid to use the client agreement because she was afraid to be boxed in. Oh, yeah. She wanted to feel free to sort of shift and move and as she worked with her client. And so she felt the client agreement was going to box her in, and that was scary for her. And I totally understand that, particularly if someone comes from a creative background or really a free expression background. She was a Koya dance teacher as well as being a health coach. And so movement was important to her, right?
Yeah.
And whoops, it's over here. And backwards on our screen. What happened was when she put her client in place, we really walked through it, and she said, Lisa, it's very surprising to me that I actually feel more free now because I have a container in which to move, but we have clarity about who does what and what I expect from them and what they expect from me. And she's like, it's no different than you do your dance in like a dance studio. There's 4 walls at the studio where people come into the studio to dance together and then they leave. It's not that they're just dancing all around. I mean, now we all are in our own spaces because of COVID.
Right.
But prior to that, we would get together in a dance studio and dance together. And she said it felt like the energy is contained in the room of the dance studio when we're all together. But if we're just kind of spread out, it doesn't feel as contained and as much of a community. It doesn't feel as close. It doesn't feel as connected. And she said, actually, having the container of the document allowed me the freedom to move within it. I still felt free, but not confined. And I thought that was a brilliant realization she had.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like I really hope that other people that have been afraid, which I know that many of us are in the wellness field and we feel that way, like, because you want to just have the freedom to serve people very individually, right? You want to, like you said, show up and adapt. But that dance studio analogy, this person also does dance, really resonates with me because you have the freedom, like you said, from the container. You can show up in the container in any way, but you're not going to like go out into the street. That would be unsafe.
Good point, analogy. That's why you're the media person. Very good. The other example I want to give is the opposite person who actually, Morgan, really quickly, just feels like a client maybe isn't paying them on time. And they are scared to say, I need you to make that payment. Or they've asked them several times and they're not getting a response, and they don't feel like they have the authority to say, pay me, right?
Right.
And so where the client agreement becomes a gift, I always say it's a gift to you and your client, which most people never think of legal documents as a gift, but here's the deal.
Yeah, but I love it.
It is. It's all how you look at it, because it's a gift in that what you are able to do if a client doesn't pay you is to lovingly, and I'm all about the love, but like lovingly say, beautiful client. I'm so enjoying working with you. And I've noticed that your payment has not been made yet for this month. And I just want to remind you that when we started working together, you had agreed to my client policies to make your payments on time. And then if you want, you can even say, like, you might remember section 4 said, here's where you're going to make your payments on time. Like a gentle reminder to them, but with the authority of the client agreement language to back you, that they agreed to. You might remember you agreed to this back in February. So just to make sure, you know, we're still on the same page, I do need you to make this payment, or we need to put your program on hold, or we need to pause your program, or we need to stop your program, or whatever it is you want to do with them. But gives you some authority, not that you need it, but it helps, I think, especially if you're starting out or you're new. It gives you that legal language to fall back on to help enforce your policy, which is what it's there to do. That's its purpose, is to support you as the business owner, but then also provide clear communication with your client about what your policies are, so they don't get confused, so they aren't, you know, saying, oh, I never knew that. Like, well, yeah, you did see it because your signature is right here on the form, right? So it's designed to help support you and be clearly communicating your policies to your client.
And I love the way that you worded it, because it's going back to, you said everything is with love. Like the language that you used is with love. Like you're not saying, I'm going to stick my attorney on you and we're going to get paid. You're saying, hey, remember when you agreed to this? I just wanted to remind you.
Exactly.
Like the language that you used feels good. And going back to the boundaries, it's like just about holding them accountable, but not in a punishing way, the way you worded it. But again, in that loving container that you talk about, it's so beautifully reflected in everything that you say. You can feel this loving container that you talk about.
Thank you, Morgan. That's what I try to do. And it's scary enough when you're starting to build your own business, and all the things that we face and all the fears we have, and being courageous to start a podcast or start a YouTube page or start a Facebook group or start an Instagram page or to offer a program or to offer a course or whatever you're doing, even just to work one-on-one with a client can feel really scary and overwhelming. And so the more you have support from the legal documents, it does allow you to relax and not worry that someone's going to come after you, or if they do, you have the language to help back you. That's the whole point, is that it really is designed to be a tool to love and support and really hold in your business. Rather, it's protective. It's not meant to be, used in a negative way. It can, if it has to be, but we don't need to go there. We can start with love and grace and kindness. And then if you have to get more legally strict as you go along, you can. But why not start with kindness? That's my whole philosophy. Start with kindness. I love it. Yeah. I mean, why would we not? We're loving people. Start with kindness. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we went in the mistakes, and you kind of mentioned some of the things that entrepreneurs should focus on to help protect themselves. Is there anything else that we haven't covered yet that you really think people need to know, again, when they're starting out or scaling?
As they're going, yeah. So we talked about starting out with the client agreement. There's several other steps depending on what you're doing. And Morgan, I'm a huge fan of helping people know what they need when they need it, so they don't get overwhelmed. But also, we all like to be planners a little bit, I've noticed, in our wellness coaching space. So what I like to do is just give the first few steps that are designed to protect what most of us are doing. So the one-on-one would be the client agreement. Then if you're building a website, you might have a landing page to start, in which case you would just want the website disclaimer to be available through the footer, a link in the footer of the website, but that's what gives some disclaimer language about the page. If it's a starting website, you want the website disclaimer, but maybe you have other pages as well, like your about page and your programs page, and maybe you have a blog, or maybe you have a link to a podcast page, or whatever other stuff on your page. Then you want website terms and conditions as well to be able to protect the content, like the text and the images on your page, so that if someone swipes them, you have legal language that says, hey, beautiful website visitor, you can't copy and take my content from my website.
And I know that's a big concern when people spend all these time designing your programs and putting yourself out there, and then you worry someone's going to take it all.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other document for the website is the privacy policy. We're just hitting on these very high level, but that's what, if you have an opt-in page, like a free gift for your clients to download with their entering their name and email address, you need a privacy policy on your website. And then the last thing I'll mention is if you are growing, to answer the question of what do we do for the people who are farther along, if you're now going one-to-many with an online course or a group program, or you're doing video modules and then you have Q&A calls, like you're really expanding to reach more people.
Maybe like the people that do the group fitness challenges.
Totally. Group fitness challenges. Yes. And people who are, if they're paid fitness challenge in particular, rather than like a free Facebook fitness challenge. But if you're doing a paid fitness challenge, or maybe you have a lot of fitness instructors are now doing online, like yoga classes or online fitness classes, where people just pay for a session of 6 and they do it through Zoom, everyone in their own living room or basement or wherever they're doing it. You want people to like check the box and agree to your terms of use as they're purchasing the program in the checkout process when they're entering their name and email address. So the legal document is terms of use, is what I call it. I have a DIY terms of use. Some people call it terms of service. Legal terms are confusing and lawyers use them in different ways because they're all really legal terms. It's just that the terms are different depending on what you're doing. So the terms of use is what I call the document where you want people to check the box and agree to your terms while they're buying your program online. Those are the biggies, I think. Your one-on-one, your website documents, and then your group programs and online courses. But there's others as well as you continue to grow, like LLCs and S Corps and trademarks and copyrights and things like that. But starting out, focus on where your income is coming from first. Protect your income, client agreement for one-on-one, terms of use for group programs, online courses, anything that doesn't have one-on-one, okay? These are the 2 documents to protect your income first. Then you start protecting your work. And the client agreement and the terms of use both have intellectual property language in them, which says, hey, gals and guys and people taking this course, you can't take my stuff from my course, okay? But then we have the website documents to help protect from people who copy from your website, so you have the legal language you need. So I'm big on protect your income, protect your work, and then go from there.
Perfect. That's so clear and so helpful. And I want to take us back to your book again, if you don't mind. Sure. Because you've mentioned you have some of the templates available and the book, and let's share with people a little bit how they can implement what you've talked about through the resources you have. Because I know if I was listening right now, I would have been like writing down that letter you talked about and like having a template and then each item and be like, okay, where do I go next to do these things?
I get asked that a lot, right? Like, okay, this is great, Lisa, where do I get all these things? Okay, so I have DIY legal templates that you can download from the platform, and then you fill in the blanks. There's audio guides that go with it. If you want someone to kind of walk you through it, that would be me walking you through it. You can hear my voice walking through it. But basically, they're super easy to use and to download. And that you can find at lisafraley.com/DIY legal templates.
DIY.
That's okay. You can just go to lisafraley.com and look at legal solutions, and you'll pull it down and you'll see DIY legal templates. It stands for do it yourself, DIY legal templates. That's where you'll find the client agreement in orange for the sacral chakra. And you'll find the terms of use in turquoise blue for the throat chakra, which when you're going one to many, you're actually expanding your message broader and wider. We didn't really get into all the chakras. And then the website documents are mostly in green for the heart chakra. But if you have questions, you can always reach out. lisafraley.com, that email, my email address, my website, and then you can book a free 20-minute legal chat with our team and we can help you figure out.
Oh, that's awesome for people.
And then if you really are just interested in the book, this Easy Legal Steps book, you can just look Easy Legal Steps on Amazon and you'll find it, and you can purchase it there. It's Kindle or printed copy. I'm a printed copy book kind of gal, kind of myself. I like to actually read the book.
Me too.
You can do it either way there if that's a helpful resource for you as well.
Now, does the book have some of these templates? Obviously, it's not going to have the whole terms and everything, but what would people expect to find in the book versus the guides?
So the book is actually a compilation of talking about each legal step you need as you grow in your business, 1 to 7. And then the 7, it aligns with the 7 chakras. My name is in the way here of the picture. Okay, here we go. It's all backwards, so I can't figure out where I'm pointing. Okay, so
it's very challenging with this platform.
Clearly, this is not one of my strengths. We all have our strengths. This is not one of mine. Show and tell, not one of my strengths. Okay, anyway, but it goes from the root chakra to the crown chakra. And then I talk about the principles that are associated with each chakra as well, like boundaries and courage and confidence and intuition and communication. And then I talk about my own journey and the struggles I had as an entrepreneur. So it's not a boring legal book. There are some free documents and free templates you can get through the book at the end of each chapter. There's a free DIY cease and desist letter if you need that. There's some other free goodies you can get at the end of each chapter that you can download, but not generally the legal templates except that cease and desist letter, because they are designed, like you need to go through and agree to the terms and all the things. So, but in general, you'll find lots of great information in here to know what to do when. If you're someone who wants to know what do I need in the future, this will walk you through it, but in an entertaining way. And you'll learn about where I was terrified as an entrepreneur and what I learned and how I kept going, which I think is helpful. I always learn from other people's stories.
It is helpful because we all go through struggles and challenges. And the more we can hear about other people's, it makes us understand and grow from our own and not take the normal rites of passage so personally, you know.
And here I am 8.5 years into it with a very, very, very successful business. And yet at the beginning, I was just where everyone else was, scared to send out my newsletter, scared to put my pictures on my website page, scared to launch a new program, scared to write a book, scared to write a podcast. Like everything we do, we're all scared. And we just keep taking the steps and doing it anyway. And for me, watching people who were ahead of me, not that they were better than me or more talented or anything like that. Like I'm not more talented or better than anyone else. I'm just farther along and it kept being courageous on the way. That's the only difference. Seriously.
Yeah, you keep going and evolving.
That's right. And just being scared and doing it anyway and realizing you don't have to be perfect and getting rid of all of those types of messages and in our own heads. And so I think sharing my journey is equally as helpful. Hopefully, I've been told that by my beautiful clients, but hopefully it's helpful to you too, listening, just to kind of, as well as getting the legal steps in plain English.
What I keep going back to the chakra, and we have a few minutes. It's probably not enough to tell your whole journey, but as it feels good to you, can you kind of share how you tied the legal terms to the chakra and how it relates to your journey?
I'm so glad you asked that, Morgan, because it's always hard for me to teach the legal steps and talk about the chakras in the time we have together. So this is fascinating, all. I was sitting at my office, in my home office one day, typing on my laptop, and all of a sudden I received what I call a divine download. You may call it other things. People may have revelations or intuition or gifts from God or however you describe it for yourself. But I got this download where it was just completely revealed to me these 7 steps in this order. And I was excited and scared because it actually took me the first 2 years. I would only share the correlation with the chakra to the legal step with my clients. I was terrified to share it publicly. I had to work with like 3 or 4 coaches to write my book because it felt like such a declaration and so permanent to say, I believe the law is energetic and practical. Lawyers are not allowed and don't talk about spirituality in courtrooms or with cases and things like that. So it's drilled into your head. It's all evidence. What can you prove? What is the evidence? What is the evidence? What is the 5 senses evidence? And so for me to be able to align the spiritual with the legal was so well received by our health coaching and wellness community and all of us who are holistic. That's why I ended up trademarking holistic lawyer and trademarking legal coach, because I take a holistic look to the law. And it's easier for people to understand and to put in order when it aligns with the chakras. And I felt that energetic piece, each step helps you feel a different way. Like the website disclaimer, the first step aligns with the root chakra, so you feel safe and secure launching your website to the world. And the second step, the client agreement, like we talked about, is aligned with the sacral chakra because it creates a beautiful container, like a womb in the female body, to help birth something into the world, that felt very aligned for me and creates the boundaries that we were talking about earlier, Morgan. And it just goes on and on. Like as a sole proprietor, getting clear about your business registration, your taxes in the third step aligns with the solar plexus chakra, because it helps you to stand taller and feel more confident and have more self-esteem and take responsibility as a business owner by registering your business and filling out the paperwork properly and understanding what you need to do for taxes as a business owner. Like it's not a hobby anymore, you're a business. And you need to know what you do, and it just goes from there. So it felt very logical to me, but it also was a divine, beautiful revelation. But it was very scary for me to share at first. It took me a long time to have the courage, not because I thought health coaches and wellness practitioners would think I was crazy. I thought other lawyers would think I was crazy. And maybe they do, and that's okay, but they don't get it, and that's okay, but we get it. We get it. And so I just kept flexing my courage muscles and expanding that message broader and farther.
And I'm so glad you did.
Thank you.
I mean, it feels like truth, the work that you do, to me. And I can also hear like how, like when we're shifting a paradigm and we're stepping out of something to create something new, especially when it's, I don't know, for lack of a better word, just so heavy at times. Like just the armor, the chains, the weight feels like so much. Like it does take so much courage. And any of us that are trying to do something new in our field feel that. So the fact that you shared it with us, I think just gives everybody else so much permission to trust in what they do. And then also to see where you're at now. Like you trusted, you had the courage, you've continued to go for it. And now do we not only get to benefit from your work? Like I wouldn't know you had such a hard time. And when you share your work, I'm like, oh my God, yes, that is like needed.
Well, and Morgan, you, the media guru, I write in the book about how scared it was for me to do videos. Not video interviews like this. I love doing podcast interviews and webinars. I do tons of bonus calls for people. But for me, like direct to camera, as you would say in the industry, like me looking in front of a camera, talking to the computer was not fun for me. It's still not fun for me. I don't enjoy it at all. It's terrifying. I don't love it. I'm very hard on myself. It took me a long time before I was able to do that. And I still don't do a lot of video now anyway, with just me talking to a camera, because I am still so hard on myself. But I've come a long way. And I do talk about things like that, because even if we all have our talents and our strengths, but there are areas where we're scared and we need support and we need guidance. Like media is a huge one, Morgan. That's why it's amazing that you do what you do to help people feel comfortable getting in front of the media or being on TV or being in a newspaper or magazine or online publication or just getting their name out there. It can feel very vulnerable. And so the fact that you guide them and support them is amazing. And that's certainly an area that I've had to work on myself. So thank you for the work that you do as well.
Thank you. And I don't love being on video either.
That makes me feel better.
Even though I do this work, I have never loved being on video. I have done on-camera work since I was a teenager, and I still do not like it.
Unbelievable.
I still do not like to look at myself. It takes quite some time for me to go back and like review TV spots or anything I've done. I rely on feedback from other people. I just have a few trusted people. I'm like, all right, what did I do good? What could I do better? Because
that's amazing.
I don't love it. And that's the good thing. Like, I think whether it's the law or media, we don't have to love these things. We just have to figure out how to do them in a way that feels good, because they're necessary.
Yes, well said. So well said. That's why you're the expert communicator, because it is true. And why I have an office, like people say, Lisa, you should have like a big bookshelf in your office and look lawyerly. And I'm like, no, I don't want to look lawyerly. That is not it. No, I want it to be light, and I want it to be happy, and I want people to understand law doesn't have to be happy. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to get bogged down in it. It can be full of light and love and joy, and because it's all designed to help you feel better, to feel safer, to feel safe, secure, confident, and empowered as a business owner. And when you feel safer and more secure, you relax and show up in a better way for your clients. And same is true, I'm sure, Morgan, when you help your clients on media, the more you're trying to help them relax before they get in front of the camera, the better that they do, and the more they show up as their authentic self, because they aren't scared. They just go with the flow and show up sharing their message. And it's I think I love the fact that you support people, and I try to do it on the legal side so we can take these areas that do seem scary and make them more accessible and more easy to do without being petrified.
Exactly. I just want to pull something out that you said, because it is like you just changed my whole paradigm of the law in one statement. And
what?
Yes, you just said that your goal with law is to make people feel safe, secure, and empowered.
Confident and empowered.
And then I'm confident and empowered, and then I'm going to add on to that as their authentic self, because
yes,
that's part of your work, I think. But I mean, just sitting here, I realize that is not my relationship with the law. Like even up to this point with terms and conditions, anything I have to sign, any kind of forms. And I mean, that I'm kind of like blown away, and that's so needed. And I just want to highlight that the law can be safe, secure, make you confident and empowered to show up as your authentic self. So go to Lisa's guides, buy the book, and you're helping us all transform our relationships, and that's incredible. So thank you so much. And I'm gonna just I know we have to wrap up, so I'm gonna put your freebie up on the screen and have you share with people this gift that they can go download from you.
Thank you for that beautiful reflection, Morgan. That was really kind of you. That's why you're a master communicator for sure. I appreciate that. And what my gift is to you is how to practically refund-proof your business. Now, we can't say that we guarantee we refund-proof your business, so we have to say we practically refund-proof your business. But basically, it's a free legal guide for you with the 4 key parts that should be in every refund policy, because there are different kinds of refund policies. We didn't go into this in too much detail, but you can have a partial refund, a full refund, or no refund, right? You might give people some of their money back. You might give them all of their money back, like with a 24-hour guarantee or something like that. Or you might say, no, I don't give refunds. But regardless of what kind of refund policy you have, there are parts you need to have in every refund policy for it to sort of hold up. And I want to make sure you know what they are. So they're here. Go to lisafraley.com/refundproof, and you'll be able to download that guide and get a sense for my work, and hopefully also just be able to put those things in place and check your own legal documents and make sure that if you already have legal documents, that you have that refund policy in place. And if you don't have them, that if you need them, feel free to reach out and I can help you get them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with everybody. And so just to guess, where does your refund fall in the chakra? Is that your root chakra or?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, it's included in the client agreement, which is the sacral chakra, to plug the money blocks around your one-on-one work. And then it's also in the terms of use. Remember I said align with your throat chakra, the turquoise colored chakra, because you are one to many and people are checking the box and agreeing to your sales terms for your course or program. So it's included in there. So if I had to put it anywhere, I would really put it at your, probably in your sacral chakra as a way to help protect your abundance and to protect your income, which is often associated with your sacral chakra.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I just looked at the clock. I'm having so much fun talking to you. I realized that I promised to have you off right now. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with everyone today. Go check out lisafraley.com, everyone, and her book, Easy Legal Steps, and get that feeling of safety and empowerment around your legal aspect of your business.
Thank you, Morgan. So good. I really appreciate you and all that you do, and thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. Thank you for being here.